Hi everyone, welcome back to week 2 of the virtual Benedetti sessions. I'm Ruth and this is the third tutorial for the wonderful intermediate viola section. I hope you've had a lovely weekend and you're ready and raring to go for a second week of music making with us. I'm looking forward to seeing many of you for our live Zoom sectional on Wednesday. Don't forget, it's really important to warm up before you start playing, so check out the new videos for this week that are on the YouTube channel. If you're having any problems with tuning your instruments, our wonderful ambassadors have made lots of tuning videos with advice and tips for you. So check those out if you're having any issues at all. Hopefully you'll be able to solve them there. Today's tutorial is going to focus on Paganini. We are going to be learning an amazing arrangement of Paganini's 24th Caprice. This was originally written for solo violin, so this is going to be a special orchestral version and we're going to be joining forces with the advanced orchestra for this. Paganini was a virtuoso violinist who was really famous for his amazing technical performances, and he used to travel around wowing audiences with his amazing technical displays. He wrote a set of caprices for solo violin which were really difficult, and they were designed to show off the latest developments in technique. This caprice, the 24th Caprice, is the last one in the book. And the form of this piece is a theme and variations. So in the original piece, there was a theme and then 11 variations and a finale. In our version, there's going to be a theme with 6 variations and a finale, and each variation is going to show off a different technical difficulty that we're going to tackle. So let's have a look now at the key signature. So it's in A minor, it's got no sharps or flats in the key signature, and this is the same key signature as C major. So A minor is the relative minor of C major and they share the same notes, but A minor has got a G sharp in it, and that's going to be really important in this piece. So let's start off by doing something a little bit virtuosic with our A minor scale. So start off with just your bow. Now the bow has a really bouncy place on the string, and that place is called the balance point. So a good way to find the balance point in your bow is to see if you can find a place where you can hold it like this without it tipping one way or the other. So see if you can find that place now. It should be somewhere sort of a third of the way up the bow, like that. Pause the video if you need to try that for a little bit longer. And then get your instrument and just on an open string, find that place, exactly where that place was where you were holding the bow before, and you can pat sort of silently on the string. And then if you want to start making a sound with your bouncy bow, you can nudge your elbow and your wrist, and you can turn your bow a little bit onto the side, and you should get a nice bouncy sound like this off the string bowing. Let's use that bowing now for our A minor scale. We're going to do 4 bounces on every note. So start finger 1 on G, and if you want you can start patting silently while I count us in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And back again. Let's start off with the theme. The theme of this piece is really famous. Hopefully you recognised it when I was playing it over the introduction that I just did. It will be being played by the violins and we are going to be accompanying them. The first rhythm, hopefully you've got your music there in front of you, the first rhythm looks fairly complicated because of that semi-quaver or 16th note rest in there, but actually the rhythm is really just a sort of version of a rhythm that you might know quite well, which is this one. And this rhythm, if you want to say it, you can say tin-ka-tee, tin-ka-tee, tin-ka-tee. So that rhythm comes back again and again throughout the theme. So let's just have a little look now at how we're going to tackle playing it. So if you pick up your instrument and your bow, we're going to start every time with an up bow, but not at the tip. We're actually going to start in the lower third, and we're going to play up, up, down, up, up, down, and the up bow is going to be really nice and lifted. Can you try that with me? Let's do it together. 1, 2. Well done. Now that comes back lots and lots of times. So let's have a look now at the second line, because we've got some tricky notes in there. We've got a G sharp in bar 19, and then in bar 21 that is a G natural, so just be careful there that you don't play G sharp again. Let's go from 15 and let's play together. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now minim, rest, 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 rest. I always think this theme is really kind of sneaky, and it's a little bit like something's going to happen and you're not quite sure what that's going to be yet. So try and get that character in from the very beginning. If you were finding it a bit tricky to put the bowing straight away together with the notes, practice the bowing on an open string first. It's really worth doing that. And then you can even go through the notes just playing on the string if you need, until you get used to it, and maybe you can do that if you want to work on your intonation. Variation 1 is marked forte and con fuoco, which means with fire. So we're going to really want to get in there on those accents and make them really strong. But before we do that, we're just going to tackle a strategy for you to practice these notes. So obviously, as you know, I love slow practice, so you can start off just playing the notes slowly and quietly. And what you'll notice is those 3 bars then repeat again with the same note. So I'm just going to use that little chunk to demonstrate a good way to practice this. So when you have a string of notes that you want to sound really even, a good way to make that happen can be to start off by making them uneven first. So we're going to play these notes with a bit of a swing. We're going to imagine that they're jazzy now for a moment. And it's going to start off with long, short, like this. So hopefully you can try that a few times until that feels easy. And then we're going to go short, long on these notes. So it'll sound like this. And once that feels easy, you can go back to your even notes. And once you are really confident with that, you can take it up a notch in speed, and before you know it, you will be playing variation 1 up to speed, really fast, with fire and lots of accents. Variation 2 is a really tricky one for bowing. So we're going to be looking for a really short, spiky bow stroke here. So let's just practice that on an open string first. The first bar is up, up. So we're not going to start at the tip and do, because the notes would be far too long. Let's start off at the heel like this, and we're going to do. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the string there with my bow, and I'm waiting until I can feel a little bit of a bite, and then I'm lifting my fingers and I'm sending my bow off that way. I'm doing that twice in a row. Now you can slow that down as much as you need to. Then we need to do it the other way. And we need to do a little down bow and send the bow off the other way. So let's practice up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down. 1, 2, 1, 2, rest, up, up, rest, down, down, rest, up, up, rest, down, down. And then you can practice adding in the notes. There are some tricky bits here with notes, so watch out for those D sharps. You can just do a 1, 1, or you can do 1, 2 there. That's in bar 2. And that happens all the way through the top line there. And then I think there's nothing too tricky in the second line. Oh, just be careful of the 2, 3, 4, the fifth line of the 5th bar of line 2, because we have a B natural there and then a B flat. So that's going to be a wide 2 there, followed by a 2 close to 1. There are two really amazing techniques for us to have a look at in variation 4. The first one is this glissando technique, and this is sliding up and down the instrument. So there are quite a lot of instructions there. And these little note heads that are like diamonds, that just means that you don't need to play that note for the whole bar exactly. You're just going to start at that note and you're going to slide up to a high note and then slide all the way back down. So let's start with just our violas. So if you put your viola up on your shoulder and then do some tapping over there on the other side of the string. This is to help you get your elbow up like that and really in and under. And then just do some strumming of all 4 strings with your pinky finger, because we're just going to make sure that we feel really nice and secure with the instrument, but also that our elbow is really free. Okay, now next we're going to practice just swiping up and down on the instrument. It can be helpful sometimes just to hold on a little bit like this. And we're going to polish the strings all the way up and down. You'll see my elbow is swinging out to the front and back. So just practice that for a while. Remember, if anything hurts or if anything feels really difficult, just do it for a short amount of time and then stop. If it's sore, stop immediately. Make sure that you give your arm a nice big shake and a bit of a rest. So just practice this for a short period of time until you feel really confident with sliding all the way up there. And next, practice it with just finger 1 on the C string. Now you'll see that it says light left hand here, so we don't need to press the string down at all. We're just gonna slide up and down in a really relaxed way with a really light finger. Okay, and now let's add the bow to that. We're going to do 1 long bow for the way up, like that, and then 1 long bow for the way back. Let's put that together. You can actually do it on 1 bow if you like. And it's really cool when we do this kind of glissando with a light finger, because we hear lots and lots of harmonics on the way up and the way back, so it's a really interesting effect. Great, so hopefully you feel a bit more confident about that now. We also have tremolando in this, which is what all of those lines mean underneath the half notes or the minims in bar 85 onwards. And what that means is trembling. So let's practice that with a really relaxed arm. I'm just going to start with any instrument first of all. What I want you to imagine is that you have a salt shaker in your hand and that you've got an amazing array of something delicious like fish and chips in front of you. And we are just going to tip the salt like this and we're going to shake it onto the chips. Now as you can see, my jumper is waving around and everything's really relaxed and loose, so you keep doing that. Don't worry about putting on too much salt. You can never have too much salt on your chips. So there you go, you're going to practice doing that. And the idea is that our arm is kind of moving in 2 directions, up and down like that, like a lever, with a really relaxed shoulder as well. Don't let your shoulder be up like that. Keep everything loose. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we are going to imagine that we still have that salt shaker in our hand. Keep everything really relaxed and our fingers really relaxed, and we're going to go right to the tip of the bow and we're just going to shake a little bit like that. And that is all you need to do for these notes. So staying really close to the tip. It doesn't work down here, it only works at the tip. Well done, and remember, if you're finding anything tricky, break it down into chunks, break it down into its component parts, left hand or right hand, or slow it down and try and be a detective to find out ways to make it easier. In our Zoom sectional on Wednesday, we will have a look at all 3 of the pieces, and we'll also talk about what to do when we want to take our playing to the next level and it starts to feel a bit tricky. So we'll have a look about that on Wednesday. In the meantime, I'm still really keen to hear how you're getting on with your practice, so don't forget to post up your clips with #PracticeWithRuth. Well done, bye.